What's good, CDL fans? It's time to update the power rankings. I didn't post one of these last week, so this is going to be all encompassing this past weekend of online qualifiers, as well as the major from Major 3. So just remember that, and obviously the major is going to have higher emphasis because in COD, LAN is typically valued more. But we're just going to get it started. And since I didn't do one last week, I don't have the arrows with the adjustments. So we're just going to go through this. Probably be a pretty quick video, but I wanted to get this out there so we can continue to build off it as we head to the end of the season. But I got LAG in last. There isn't really much to say about LAG. I mean, these guys just can't really get wins. They did go game 5 with Miami online this past weekend, but overall, it's just a lot of L's here on the board. Then coming in at number 11, I do have the Vegas Falcons. This Falcons team did just get a dub versus the Minnesota Rocker in a game 5 this past weekend, but they went out top 12 to Optic on LAN, and obviously got 3-0'd by Cloud9 New York also in this weekend's qualifier. So to me, they're just still one of those teams that they're without a doubt bottom of the board. Then coming in at number 10, I have the Minnesota Rocker. I know we just talked about Falcons beat Rocker this past weekend, and I have them under them. Mainly, this is because Rocker was able to get a top 8 on LAN. And like I said in COD, yes, their power rankings update every single week, but LAN COD is more important than online COD. So Rocker did get that LAN win versus the Ravens to not go out T12 and to get a top 8. Did fall to Ultra after that, and then Falcons this past weekend. But I mean, Falcons, Rocker, they both to me feel like bottom table teams. Then coming in at number 9, a team that I feel like is moving up the board, and I think is going to continue to move up the board as we go. It's Cloud9. I was honestly a bit impressed with C9 since making this roster change, right? They dropped Attach and Mac. They bring in Spart and Capital from Omit. Shout out Omit as always. And they 3-0 the Vegas Falcons, which is a team underneath them in the table. And then they get 3-1 by the Toronto Ultra. Had a pretty good map one in that series. Obviously went out T12 with their old roster on LAN. This is a team that honestly, I just think they're going to start to be a little bit more competitive in their series, but overall, I don't think they're going to be able to make champs over Optic, and they're probably going to end up still being a bottom 4 team, but I wouldn't be surprised if they find themselves in like the 7-8 range, maybe in these power rankings. Then coming in at number 8, I have the Carolina Royal Ravens. The Ravens are another team like Cloud9 that I'm interested to see how they continue to build off the rest of this stage. Obviously, they're going to make champs, so they're really trying to figure it out. But Dylan Rex finally looks like he's getting a bit more comfortable on this team. They got 3-1 by Toronto and 3-0'd Boston Breach, which is honestly a great win for this Ravens team that has been struggling a lot recently, right? They were on a 5-series loss streak. They, of course, went out top 12 on LAN to Minnesota Rock, as we touched on earlier. But I think Rex is finally starting to look a bit more comfortable. And this team should hopefully get themselves back to being a consistent top 6-ish roster. But then coming in at number 7, I do have Optic Texas. Optic did get top 8 on LAN, right? 3-0ing the Vegas Falcons in losers round 1. So right there, better than probably I think a lot of people had them. Is how a lot of people had them losing here, going out T12 on LAN to the Falcons. But then they got 3-0'd by FaZe after that at the major. But then they 3-0'd the Vancouver Surge online this past weekend, which I know, again, it's online, right? Surge just made back-to-back grand finals on LAN, but it's still a pretty good win that you definitely will take if you're a Greenwall fan looking to find some more success out of this roster. Will they keep that up? We're going to have to wait and see, right? They all fried in that series. I'd be shocked if we saw them all fry that way like series in, series out, right? Because you just don't see that from anybody in the league. A 3-0 over Surge is definitely really good. Now to the left side of the board at number 6, I do have the Boston Breach. Boston got a top 6 at LAN once again at Major 3, which feels like it's probably right around their ceiling. It's just kind of hard for them, I think, to compete with some of these top teams, especially on LAN. And with the inconsistencies, honestly, like their whole roster feels like they have. It's going to be hard, I think, for them to sort of outplace themselves from what they did at Major 2 and Major 3. But they also got 3-0'd by the Carolina Royal Ravens online this past weekend. So this Boston team, I mean, if you just look at their recent history, right, they're on a 3-loss streak. Before that, they were on a 4-win streak, and then it was loss, win, loss, loss, win, win. Big loss streak, couple wins sprinkled in, right? Like, this team is just pretty inconsistent, pretty all over the place. And I mean, they did get top 6 at LAN, though, so I still have them at number 6. And real quick, before we get into the top 5, I wanted to remind you about 1v1me, presenting sponsor of Around the CDL, which was my other podcast I do with my 2 co-hosts. And they're sponsoring this video here today. So if you haven't already checked out 1v1me, you can watch and stake esports. Some of your favorite streamers across Black Ops 6, Madden, FIFA 2K. Watch their matches, stake on them, and win some bread. So check out 1v1me, link down below, and use code ATC at signup. Then coming in at number 5, I do have the Miami Heretics. I mean, Miami got a top 4 on LAN, which is definitely, honestly, something I think we're coming to expect for this Miami team, right? That's 2 Sundays they've now made this season, Major 1 and Major 3. They got 2 wins this weekend, both over the LA teams. A 3-2 over LA Thieves is obviously a really, really good win. They defeated Atlanta FaZe at the LAN. They also defeated Toronto Ultra. They were playing with the fill-in, but This Miami team definitely, to me, feels like they are a quality roster that might struggle against some of the top teams on land, even though they beat FaZe, like we just talked about. But they just got to continue to get consistency from medals. I think that's the big thing for them, especially when it comes to beating top teams on land. But for now, number 5, I think the top 5, as you're going to see, you can mix and match however you want. It just depends on how much you're weighing what we just saw at the major 2 weeks ago versus maybe what we've seen online. Then coming in at number 4, I do have the Toronto Ultra. Toronto is definitely a team you could have higher in this. Like I just said, when I said this top 5, I think is going to be pretty mixy, pretty hard to judge perfectly. I do think you could have them higher, right? They did just get 3rd at the major. They obviously are 2-0 right now with 3 wins over both Ravens and C9. Both teams they should beat, and I think some of their maps, they looked a little messy, but they still got the job done, which is really all that matters. Beans finally back in the roster. Like I said, you could put them higher, but the teams I have above them, I have my reasonings for. Coming in at number 3, I do have Atlanta FaZe. FaZe are 2-0 to start these qualifiers, and yes, they went out top 6. They lost to Surge on land, and then they lost to Miami on land to go out top 6 at the major. But they had 2 pretty good victories versus the top 2 teams in the game heading into this split this past weekend with a decisive slammage 3-0 over my LA Thieves yesterday on Sunday. FaZe is one of those teams that, like, top 6 is a shock for them, right? Like, they've only placed outside the top 4, like, less than a handful of times in the CDL era. These guys are so consistent. I continue to expect them to rebound, and even if you put expectations aside, I think they've already started to show they can rebound. And I mean, 3-0ing the team that just won the major without dropping like any maps. They only dropped 2 maps, right? LAT at the major. To me, for FaZe, you could drop them below Ultra if you'd like, or even below Miami. Like I said, top 5 is kind of all over the place, but I'm giving FaZe a little bit of a nod and putting them 3rd. Then we got our final 2 teams. I put them both on the board, and then we can talk about it both. At number 2, I have Surge, and at number 1, I have LAT. Obviously, this is just giving both of these teams a little bit of grace because they just performed best. They were the 2 best teams on land, and land at the end of the day is the most important thing. Somehow, after getting top 2 for both of these teams at the major, they're both 0-2 to start. Surge, like I said, 2nd at the major, lost to FaZe, and then got 3-0'd by Optic, which is not good if you're a Surge fan coming off of 2 back-to-back grand finals where, unfortunately, you didn't win a map in either of those, right? But this Surge team still is going to be a quality roster. I think they're going to continue to be competent versus a lot of teams, but we'll have to see if they can get back into form because the teamwork for them felt a little off this weekend. And then for the Major 3 champions, LA Thieves, right, 0-2 start after having an amazing Stage 3 and Major 3 on land. I mean, losing to Miami and losing to FaZe, right, if you're going to lose to any teams, I guess losing to fellow top 5 teams isn't the end of the world, but they looked really sloppy. This didn't look good overall, in my opinion, and hopefully, if anything I've noticed with this team is sometimes they got to get punched in the face to lock themselves back in, and this better have been it, right? Getting 3-0'd by FaZe and going 0-2 on the weekend, and you need to win your last 3 matches to make winner's bracket, or at least definitely secure it for Major 4. Hopefully this locks them back in, and I mean, if they play like this again next weekend, they're definitely dropping out of number 1. But that is the power rankings post Major 3 as well as Major 4 qualifiers week 1. Let me know what you think. It's definitely difficult to try and weigh 2 different weeks, especially when 1 week was LAN and 1 week was online, but I did my best. I tried to be as fair as possible, and I would expect some serious movement, honestly, as we go into next week when I post another one of these on Monday. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to drop a like, sub to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.